Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got some special guests in the building.
Yes, indeed.
Tricia Clarke-Stone and Antoinette Stone. Did I say that right?
No.
Correct him.
She's Tricia Clarke-Stone because she was married and kept the name because I guess she likes it.
Okay.
And I'm Antoinette Clarke.
Okay.
Duh.
You weren't married to the same person.
Right.
That's not what she said, so thank you, Taylor.
Jesus Christ.
Thank
ladies.
you.
All right, so let's talk about Double Down. Now, first of all, I just want to say I've seen them around and known them for quite some time, and I know you guys as powerhouses in this industry, right? Behind the scenes. I've done some work with you also, and I was excited to see that you guys are coming out with a book. So let's talk about Double Down and what it actually means, because it is physically like doubling down, as in blackjack or, playing cards.
Exactly.
Totally is. We wrote the book because we wanted to democratize success for people that look like us.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the main focus when we actually sat down to do it. When you think of doubling down, it's about surveying your professional and creative landscape and then really figuring out a place where you have an opportunity with a calculable advantage and then going all in. So it's going all in on the edge that you got.
Have y'all always wanted to do the same things?
No.
They don't do the same thing.
So I
Okay.
work for CBS. So
All
I
right.
run their branded entertainment division. And
And then I started my career at Hot 97. So
Whoa.
back in the day at Emmis, I was a salesperson. You were there, Envy, when I was there?
Oh, that was a couple years ago. Then.
Yeah,
Like 2-3
so
years ago. Cause we
it
were
was years
pretty young.
ago. Yeah.
Not that young, a couple years ago.
Okay.
So I
We've been here 10
started
years.
selling radio spots, moved into the digital space. Then Russell Simmons hired me to run his digital company. So I was the president of that.
All Def Digital?
No, before that, Global Grind.
Double down.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And then got it to a point where it was profitable. We sold it. And then he was like, okay, what do you want to do now? And I was like, I want to start my own company. So he gave me the seed capital to start my creative and tech agency.
You guys were partners.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're partners. And then we actually sold it to Will Packer, the filmmaker, 2 years ago.
Oh, so Nicole Bitchie and all that stuff was part of y'all.
Yeah, so
thing. Okay.
so I was the first acquisition, and then he acquired Nicole after.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right, so let's talk about how different you two are, because even though you guys are twins and grew up doing similar things, like you talk
Right.
about flipping these guest sweatshirts
Yes.
when you were in school, in Catholic school. So talk about that and that kind of idea that you had where you saw a space that you felt like you could make some money, and then that's when you took a risk and said, we're going to invest our money and flip these guest sweatshirts.
yeah, so we basically saw space in the market for girls to want what we wanted.
At age 14.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys are from Brooklyn, huh?
Yeah.
Brooklyn?
we're
No,
from
we're-
Brooklyn.
Sounds like it. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know, we had to get our hustle on.
That's what I said.
Yeah, and
and
we-
then y'all said guess, so I knew it was Brooklyn.
Yeah, because we were rocking it. So that was when Guess was in style, and we went to Catholic school, so there was dress down day.
What school?
Bishop Carney
Bishop
in
Carney, yeah.
Bensonhurst.
Yep.
So on dress down day, you brought it. So we were like, what if we can sell Guess sweatshirts to the girls?
And there was a store on the Upper West Side in the city that was selling it for discounted prices. So we were like, let's pool together our birthday money and holiday money and put together like $400 or $500 and buy a bunch of sweatshirts. We'll
Were they
wear
definitely
it.
real?
They were
They
real.
were real.
Okay,
They were
just
legit.
checking.
They were legit. And then we ended up wearing it to school. We had the rest in our backpacks, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, we love that one. We love that one."
We were like, we got
"You
one
can
for
get
you,
and
and
you,
you, and you."
And then we sold it, and then we started doing that. A couple of seasons we did that.
Yeah,
for?
we did it for about 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And then you talk about going to college and even starting this whole event. And this is interesting to me because I think it's always great, right, in business where you see a void and you collect
Yeah,
a
so
white
space.
space.
Mhm.
And you're saying, how can I fill that void,
Yeah.
right? So you went to college and you continued that entrepreneurship spirit.
Right. So we went to Skidmore College together.
And it's in Saratoga Springs, so it's like an hour north.
Skidmark College?
Skidmore.
Oh, I'm about to say what?
I'm like, what y'all study?
Skid marks. Go ahead.
Skidmore.
So it's in Saratoga Springs. It's like an hour north of Albany. And basically, it's, tons of bars, but no vibe. So we would go out on Thursday and Friday nights, and it was the same bar, beer, no DJ, no
Rock
music.
music or late
So
music.
there was this one spot, and this black dude was always in front, and we would pass by, and he would be like, "Hey, twins, what's up?" And they would be playing Biggie and Fab, like all the hot stuff at the time. So we went over to him, and we were like, "What if we brought the Skidmore kids here?"
He was like, "There's no way the Skidmore kids are going to come here because Skidmore was mainly white. And we were like, no, what if we get them to come? So Tricia and I decided to put together a Thursday night party. So we created invites and we plastered them all over campus.
We got a
and-
DJ, and basically that became, even after we left, like the preeminent Thursday night party for Skidmore kids.
And you guys made some money.
And
Oh,
we
we
made
made
money. Yeah. We got to stop our library jobs.
Yeah, because we were working in the library to make money, obviously. We didn't have to go to the library anymore.
Well, y'all the type of twins that dress like each other all
Sure
the
did.
time.
Yeah.
We did when we were younger. Our mom did that to us.
Did y'all hate it?
Well, now we like it because it's good for a Throwback Thursday photo of Last Black Friday, and it's cute.
Right.
And we have similar styles. So I'll go shopping, and then she'll show up with the same thing the next day, which is annoying.
So who said y'all don't do the same thing? Because it seemed like
Well,
y'all do to me.
career-wise.
Oh,
so let's-
career-wise. Oh, because I also started as a producer.
Okay.
So I started, I'm going to date myself too. My first job out of college was at the Montel Williams show.
Okay.
So I was a production assistant, worked my way up to producer, then went on to work at the Rachel Ray show, the Tyra Banks show, the
Where
Nate
she won
Berkus
2
show.
Emmys at
Congrats.
Tyra.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I
And
keep trying to
then-
convince her to give me one of them.
She
Can't
not getting
share
it yet.
everything.
Exactly. And then I decided to switch careers to branded entertainment because I felt like I didn't have a balanced life. Having someone parallel to your life and you're saying, oh, she got married, she bought an apartment. And I'm like, I have my little apartment with my 2 Emmys, but no personal life, no relationship. So I felt like I wanted to pivot, still stay in media, but have more control over my time. So that's when I started working for Martha Stewart's company, and I ran her branded entertainment division, stayed there for a little while, and then I've been at CBS now 8 years.
Now, you guys also discussed the different ways that you can be successful, right? You can be an entrepreneur, start your own company, or you could work within a system.
Exactly.
And so that's where the difference came in for both of you.
Right.
Yeah, and I think when you look, the book is based on our 8 principles, but it shows that you can define your own level of success. So Antoinette took a path where she's more of an intrapreneur, and then I'm more of an entrepreneur where I start businesses to drive change, and she steers companies to really drive change.
Right. So let's talk about you, Tricia, and what you've been doing, because you did start off at MS.
Yeah.
And you actually might not have been quote unquote qualified at that time for that job. But how did you get that job, and then where did you pivot after that?
Yeah, so a friend that we went to camp with, see, it goes back to relationships and connections. A
yep.
friend that we went to like day camp with when we were younger, she was working at Hot 97. She was an assistant.
Give her a shout out.
Jamie Goldring. And I called her up and I said, hey, I love radio, I love music, I want to get into sales. So she gave my resume to the folks at MS. And I basically pitched them on the fact that the parties that we started at Skidmore, because they were like, you have no sales experience. I'm like, every week we filled a spot with over 300 people. So I had to figure out how to get people there. And that was selling. And they bought it and hired me. Within 2 years, I had amassed a great book of business, new business. Golden Crust was my first client.
And you guys are Jamaican.
Yeah, so I had to go
Wagwan,
take it.
Brad
That's
Man.
right. I had to take it back to our roots. I remember going on, taking the D train up to the Bronx. And that was an account that no one at MS could crack. And I was like, I'm Jamaican. I'm going to crack this. So cracked it, build up my book of business. And I remember the general manager at the time was like, you know, you're doing so well. And I was like, great. I'd love to get more agencies and more accounts. And she was like, no, you have to pay your dues. You have to follow this track. And I remember one thing distinctly. She was like, do you think you're like this guy? It was an older white gentleman that was on the CD 101.9 sales team. And I was like, I don't think I'm like him. And she was like, look at his age. He had to put in a lot of work to get where he is. So you have to look at what he's doing. And I was like, but I don't.
Right. No, you don't.
I certainly do not. So after that conversation, that's when I said, how can I gain a leg up? I'm not as old as these people. I don't have the level of experience. And that was the .com boom, when the .com boom was happening. So I basically left and went to go work at Excite. And at that time, now I'm dating myself. That was when AOL and MSN was really big. Excite was one of
What
the
is
top
that?
3 portals.
Exactly.
What is that?
You know what that is.
Now, how do you crack an account like Golden Crust, though? Do you go in there acting super Jamaican? No.
Not even. I went in there acting super professional.
Okay.
Because I was like, and I led with creativity. because all the other radio salespeople would go in and just try to sling airtime.
Right.
And I went in with a commercial already written for them. And usually you don't do that until you get the deal. So I leaned into creative innovation and almost acted like I was their agency.
Dope.
And then I remember it was a $60,000 commitment. And back then that was a lot of money.
In the book, you say you both say to work backward from where you want to end up. What do you mean by that?
A lot of it is to manifest it, right? So we talk a lot about...
It's not about wishful thinking. It's about listful thinking. We write lists for everything. So we think once we put it on paper, we see our trajectory and we hold ourselves accountable. So when I was 21 coming out of college, I said, I want to be a producer and I want an Emmy by the time I was 35. So no matter how many long hours I had to work, late nights, weekends, I was on 4 canceled shows. I never gave up because I had my eye on the prize, and that prize was getting that Emmy. And then by the time I was 32, I had won 2.
And you realize all that's part of the process.
Yeah.
1,000%.
It's all part of the process.
And I think we're all about being legendary, not temporary.
There you go.
So, and you have to not let the status quo kind of beat you up and tell you how you're supposed to do things. You can define that.
Yeah.
Now, you guys have always also had a sense of style throughout your entire career. Do you think that plays a part in how people perceive you? How important is that when people come in and, we don't want to focus on how we judge somebody based on how they're dressed or their appearance, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think fashion is huge. Some people may say it's frivolous and don't get caught up in that. Fashion is your armor, so that's the first thing people see as soon as they see you, and it's an extension of who you are and your brand. One of my first job, Montel Williams Show, I got that because when I went in for an informational interview, they didn't have any positions at the time. And as I was leaving the informational interview, the EP had a full glass window to her office. She saw me and she came out. She was like, "Where's your dress from? I love it." So I started a 10-minute conversation with the EP. 2 weeks later, there was a PA had quit, and who was top of mind? Me.
Right.
And it was because we started that conversation
out.
over the clothes, and I stood out and ended up getting that job.
You ever smoke weed with Montel?
I did edibles with Montel before edibles were big.
Ooh.
So he would bring, because he was diagnosed with MS right when I started working there, and he was a big believer in how much that helped him.
Yes.
So he would bring like these candy bars and all these things.
He was giving out drugs.
Shit, no. He was opening up our minds. Yes.
Yeah, he's a big marijuana advocate for the business.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's helped him. And he's starting, I think, a new company right now. Yeah.
I don't think Montel gets the respect he deserves.
Oh my God, he was such a huge advocate for people of color being on television. His show was on for 19
He's
years.
a black
pioneer.
man in daytime.
Exactly, way before it was in style to be a black man anytime.
Now, being in spaces where there's it's a male-dominated industry that we're working in, right? How has it been for you guys as attractive women breaking into the spaces that you want to break into? Has it been a hindrance, or has it been something where they are like, okay, we, even just like her look, so let's just give her a shot? Or is it something where they're like coming on to you? Or is it, I only see her as an assistant?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of a few things.
Yeah, I think it's a mixed bag. I've been fortunate where I've had a lot of male figures throughout my career that have believed in me. Maybe I got the attention initially because of my looks, but then I put in the work. So I think seeing that you're a full package is huge, because Russell gave me a shot to become an entrepreneur. Like, he gave me a sizable amount of money, and then Will Packer bought my company. So two, amazing black men that helped raise me up and give me the opportunities that I had today.
I guess they got to see you first, right?
But I was going to say, it's a full package, because I feel like once they see you and they're like, oh, she looks good, she's attractive, let's see if she has to back it up.
Right.
And you did. So that's made your full package work.
How do you feel about these allegations against Russell now? Because I know people are going to ask you that, because obviously you had a different type of relationship with him.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I've known Russell for 10 years now. So the Russell I know, I don't think was the same Russell he was maybe 25, 30 years ago. I only know what I was exposed to, and it was always someone that supported me. I remember the first day I started working for him, he was like, "I work for you now. What do you need me to do?" I've never been exposed to anything like that. And I looked up to him for everything that he has created and that he's done for the culture.
Yeah, he was a first for our culture.
Word.
And that's why I went to work for him, because he's a man of first. And I wanted some of that to rub off on me and learn from him. So like I said, I wasn't exposed to that version of him. So I can only speak to kind of what I know
What you
and
experienced.
what our relationship was like.
I remember working with you. You did a campaign for Pantene for Global Grind.
Yes, and
that
you
was-
came in and
Yes.
we did a whole content series. And you were
That's
amazing.
it. I remember that. And you guys did, I mean, like, honestly, Tricia, you made me so comfortable. I was like, I really like her. She's so, and I think that's important also to feel comfortable, because as a woman, you know, a lot of times you go in those spaces and it's somebody who just doesn't get it, who doesn't understand you, who just wants to make you do something. But it was a really great shoot. And I do think that representation is so important for me to feel like, okay, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the older white man from
Right.
CD 101.9 trying to tell me how to do a campaign. But it
Exactly.
is our culture.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge thing. I remember when I first started Narrative, I launched a campaign for Under Armour, and it was all about how do I get them in the lifestyle marketing marketing side. So I got Pharrell to basically create 3 custom tracks for this campaign that we were doing. And I remember calling Pharrell's general manager, and she was like, Trish, I don't know. He's super booked. This was before Happy.
Right.
Okay.
And I was like, let me put it in context. and I was like, no, I'll make it super easy for him. We'll create a brief. So I laid out the package, and 2 days later, she was like, okay, we're in. We'll do it. So I think that's super important too. If you're trying to innovate and go into new fields, you have to have a level of confidence, compassion for the people that you're engaging with, and then
cool factor,
and
too.
and then the cool factor,
3
knowing that
Cs,
you have good taste, so that they can basically trust you and what your output is going to be.
Right.
Who raised y'all? Mother, father, mother?
Our mom. So
His
single mom. She came to the States from Jamaica when she was 18. And we always say we were raised kind of by committee. She was the youngest of 8. So all of our aunts were in our business. Our grandmother raised us. Our 4 aunts raised us as well. And we like to say our mom was audacity in heels and a Swiss Army knife. So everything that came up, she found a solution for. And I feel like we picked up on a lot of those traits growing up too. And then our Aunt Monica was the first boss lady we saw. She was not only an entrepreneur, but she owned a construction company. So back then, not only for an immigrant to come here and start a business, but a construction company. So I think their influence on us and their immigrant mentality basically pushed us to want even more for ourselves.
Yeah, because
than
I
ever.
think their drive and desire for us to succeed was unmatched. It was like the only way you guys can go is up. And we truly, truly believe that. They made us feel like we were superheroes, like we could do whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
And the
And
funny
I think it made it easier because it was the two
two of us, so
too.
we had
we
had
fed
each
off
other.
of each other
Yeah.
and had each other for support.
That's why so much of the book is about building your tribe and focusing on deliberate cultivation and not passive accumulation. Because you're surrounded by amazing people, but all friends and people aren't created equally. So how do you sift through that?
and find people that are your gravity, but also your elevation.
And we've been able to do that for each other. So we wanted to basically codify what does that mean for you to be able to do it or you to be able to do it.
So your father wasn't around?
He was around until we were in and out. So they got divorced when we were 5. And then we
We would see him on weekends and maybe a summer
vacations
vacation.
here or there. Then he got remarried and kind of didn't
Then left
remember
Left us.
Got a whole new family.
Yep, and then our mom had to figure out how to pay our high school tuition, how to get us to dance class. That's the thing. She wanted to give us such a better life. She sacrificed so much
for us. Yeah.
And but the funny thing is they believe so much in the status quo when our whole book is about challenging the status quo. And
But they were such victims of the status quo
Because
they
they
were
thought-
like education was the most important thing to them.
That's what they told us back in the day,
Yeah.
especially black
1000%.
people. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly, because no one could take that away from you. So their version of the American dream was doctor, lawyer, or engineer. And we were like, we don't want to do any of those things. So we tricked them. When we graduated from Skidmore, they were like, okay.
Now you got to go to grad school because you need to get your secondary degree.
And we were like, okay, we'll work for 2 years and then we'll go back to school. So then I looked at Antoinette and I was like, we have 2 years to
make it
figure this thing out.
happen. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what or how are we going to carve a path that they are happy about and feel confident
and
that
we feel
we'll-
confident that we'll be successful at. And then they left us alone.
They let us rock after that.
Oh, you
I
guys are
just
pretty
asked because I
successful.
got
You guys are doing pretty well, pretty successful.
and that's why I asked because I got 3 daughters, so it's just like like being intentional about raising smart, strong
Yeah.
Black women.
Yeah, and like I said, obviously we had good male figures around, like uncles and older cousins. But we had a girl tribe of these aunts that basically did everything they could for us.
Do you look at advertising campaigns now and look at what works and what doesn't work to you? Like, is that how you view things? Like, I don't know if that really connected with.
Totally, because I think for me, it's 4 things that I focus on when I'm working on marketing campaigns. It's connection, so the why. Why are people going to care? Why are they going to engage? Then it's culture. What is that level of cultural intelligence or the territories that you're really highlighting that will connect with audiences? And how are you making it cool? And then cutting edge. How are you doing stuff that hasn't been done before to really engage audiences? And then code. I lean heavily into technology because I feel like technology is really shaping and redefining how brands find their voice. So I've done tons of stuff with AR, VR, AI, all the acronyms. And that was another thing that really created a point of differentiation for me when I started Narrative, because with Russell and I, they thought, oh, she's Black, he's Black. You guys must be a multicultural agency. And I was like, no, we're not. We're more than that.
Yeah.
So leaning into technology, because technology has no color, it really allowed me to be viewed as more of an innovation shop. So people stopped calling us this multicultural agency. And we did campaigns for brands like Under Armour, JCPenney, Coty Fragrances. So tech has been a really big part
Grounding force for you.
of like my white space.
Now, Antoinette, for you, right, you talk about finding that balance between work. And I think that's a problem that a lot of women have between
Right.
work and social life. We feel like we put a lot of things on the back burner because we're so focused on getting that Emmy or, making sure that we get on this show that sometimes our social life takes a back seat. How did you manage to get that balance? And when did you realize I need that balance?
So after 12 years of being on the production side and producing,
I thought you were
and
about to say after 12 years a slave.
no, not that. I realized that I wanted just more in my life. Like I wanted to find the man in my life, and I wanted to potentially have kids. So I just had to really sit down and figure out how I was going to basically have it all, because women can have it all.
Yes.
And I think we're socialized to think like, oh, well, if you're going to be a mom, you can't have this career. So that's why I made a conscious decision to go work for CBS. It's more of a corporate structure, but they're so supportive, and now I have more time. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm still in media, and a medium where I wanted to be and where I started. I started in daytime because I wanted to tell stories, to elevate women and have more women be on camera. And I'm still in daytime. I run the brand and entertainment division for daytime. So I think it's a matter of figuring out what your priorities are and basically having your checklist,
Right.
and making sure you check off those boxes. And if you feel like you're straying off, obviously I had her as like my
I was like a
parallel.
barometer or a compass.
Like, wait a minute, she has that. And not that you have to compare yourself to other people, but see outside of your scope.
Right.
And if you want something, you have to just go for it.
Did you get it? I'm a little confused. Did you? Because you said you wrote down everything else before and you got that career-wise. When
So
you wrote
I'm
it down
still,
professionally?
it's hard to find a good dude though. So I'm still searching. Yeah. So I'm with someone. I'm not married and I don't have the kids yet, but I have a more full life and I feel good at where I'm at.
Got you.
Yeah.
It worked for you, though.
I'm divorced.
She's
now.
divorced.
But I'm saying it worked. You initially got married.
sure.
oh yeah, we were.
They were together for 15 years, married for 9 or 8.
Married for 8, and I always joke and said, because the great thing about Chris was he accepted our twinity.
He had no choice.
But it's hard for a lot of people. It was hard for a lot of men when we were
'Cause y'all are so
dating.
close.
Yeah.
We're so close because
And
we
they
came
felt
into
like, well, you get everything from her. What do you need from me? Like,
because
we're
we
each
came in
other's first
soulmates.
soulmates.
So
I'm
it's
not gonna
hard
answer
to kind of find that balance. But
Started to, but I'll keep it to myself.
but then it was like when we got married, Chris was like, I feel like I'm getting 2 wives. I'm like, but not
the way
you want it. not the way most men would perceive it. But he was
And he always had to know you were talking to your sister about things in the relationship.
Exactly.
Things were going wrong when they were going great.
Right,
He's like,
I was
know
all in
he's-
their business.
Yeah.
After she got divorced, did you say welcome back? What?
Ladies, thank you so much. Now, what's next for you, ladies, and how can people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you and follow you and all that good
And
other
book
good stuff?
signings and let people know about
Yes.
the website, tour, whatever it is that you
Yeah,
have.
so Double Down drops tomorrow. Double Down drops Tuesday, September 10th, and we can't wait to share it with the world. Like we said, it's all about democratizing success for people that look like us.
And the website is doubledownbook.com.
And I'm on Instagram, Tricia002.
And I'm Net_Clarke, NETTE_CLARKE.
I love how y'all finish your sentences. It's like Jadakiss and Styles. Like, they just finishing each other's bars.
Thank
No,
you so
but
much
it's
for
and it's a
joining
great
us.
book for anybody that is interested in business. People who are just trying to figure it out in their life. What do I want to do next? Is very inspirational. For me, there's a lot of things that I've been trying to figure out about what's next. So it was good to help me focus on that. So I appreciate it. Double down.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ladies. So it's Tricia and Antoinette Stone.
No. Oh, my
My God.
Her last name, Tricia Clarke-Stone and Antoinette
Tricia
Clarke.
and Antoinette Clarke. I don't know. See, what's Taylor? I want you to see. I'm reading from the paper. See?
Yes, I see.
Yes.
All right. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.